All right, buckle up for a deep dive you might not expect. We're going into the world of health and physical education, or HPE as it's known down under, in Queensland, Australia's Catholic primary schools.
Yeah, way more to uncover here than just dodgeball and jumping jacks, trust me.
So the core of this deep dive is research by Dr. Timothy Lynch. He dug into how 3 Brisbane Catholic education primary schools actually put the brand new Queensland HPE syllabus into action. This was back in 2005.
Now, this was right when all of Australia was shifting away from memorizing facts to actually equipping students for, well, life. This outcome-based education model, especially within HPE, was meant to be, like, revolutionary.
Instead of just knowing about health, you actually had the tools to live a healthier life.
Exactly.
But if everyone had this new syllabus, what made things so different between the schools that Dr. Lynch studied?
You would think everyone would be on the same page, right?
Right.
But Dr. Lynch found some surprising inconsistencies, shall we say, in how each school was running with this syllabus, especially when it came to the 3 big pieces: physical activity, health, and personal development.
It's one thing to have a great plan, but without the right support.
Oh, yeah, things can go sideways fast.
So tell me about these 3 schools. They each had like a different approach to HPE, right?
Totally different. We've got a small school, limited resources, the whole deal. Then a mid-sized school with a dedicated HPE teacher.
Oh, nice.
And then a bigger school, lots of resources, but maybe not the right kind of expertise.
I'm already seeing how comparing them will be eye-opening.
Oh, yeah, you'll see what works, what doesn't. It's all there. For example, in one school, teachers didn't even know who was supposed to teach which part of the syllabus.
Oh, no wonder they struggled. Yikes.
Yeah, a real recipe for confusion.
Yeah.
The study also found that having a qualified HPE specialist, like someone who knows their stuff, made a huge difference. Those schools had better programs, more engaged students, the whole 9 yards.
Didn't one school have a full-time HPE specialist who hadn't been trained on the new syllabus?
Exactly. They had the person, but not the knowledge. Systemic issues, you know?
Mhm.
It highlights that it's not just about bodies in the classroom, it's about having those teachers with the right skills.
Did Dr. Lynch look into how students felt about HPE? I mean, I remember even with enthusiastic teachers, not every kid is into gym class.
Absolutely, and his findings showed student interest varied wildly between the schools. Really makes you think back to your own school days, doesn't
Well,
it?
for sure. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. The study found a link between HPE and religious education in these Catholic schools.
A link.
A link. How do those even connect?
Well, you know, one researcher even said that HPE could be a powerful way for students to, like, live out and reflect on Catholic values.
So it's not just physical, it's tied to something bigger, more meaningful.
Exactly, and Dr. Lynch's study really pushes for continued support from Brisbane Catholic education to make sure this new holistic HPE approach actually succeeds.
Yeah, especially with childhood obesity being such a huge problem, supporting good HPE isn't just about fitness. It's about, equipping these kids for a healthy life long term.
Absolutely.
But before we go any further, let's break down how each of those 3 schools dealt with this new HPE approach. I mean, different sizes, different resources, different approaches.
Yeah, it really gets to the heart of what happens when you have a good plan, but the reality of, school life hits.
Let's start with the small school. Fewer than 200 students, no dedicated HPE specialist. They really struggled, didn't they?
They did. They relied a lot on, like, sporadic visits from outside organizations.
So not consistent.
No, not the same as having a dedicated in-house program.
They were limited on space and equipment too, right?
Yeah, their physical activity choices were pretty limited.
I could see how that would be a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the mid-sized school? They had their own HPE teacher, right?
They did. They actually did quite well, especially with the physical activity part of the syllabus.
That was the school with that amazing teacher, right? The one who even took the kids to a nearby rugby field when they ran out of space. Talk about going above and beyond.
Exactly. Shows you what a passionate teacher can do.
Definitely. But they still had room for improvement, didn't they? Particularly with the health and personal development strands.
They did.
Okay, last but not least, the large school.
Over 400 students.
They had the most resources, right?
Yike.
A full-time HPE specialist, plenty of space, all the equipment you could want.
You'd think they'd have it made, right?
Right.
But remember, that specialist didn't have training on the new syllabus.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Hmm.
So even with all those resources, they were missing something crucial. Knowledge. It's like having all the parts for a car, but no instruction manual.
A perfect analogy.
And this brings us to a big question. What are the key ingredients for successful HPE? What can we learn from these three very different schools?
That's the question we'll be tackling in the next part of our deep dive.
Stay tuned. Okay, so we've got these three schools, each tackling HPE in their own way. What did Dr. Lynch find were the must-haves to really make this new approach work?
Well, one of the big takeaways is the need for what they call a whole school curriculum program, or WSCP, for HPE specifically.
So not just leaving it to each teacher to figure it out on their own.
Nope, not at all. It's like a roadmap for the whole school. Everyone's on the same page about what HPE should look like, from, kindergarten all the way to sixth grade.
Makes sense. You wouldn't want some kids getting a fantastic HPE experience and others, well, missing out.
Exactly. Consistency, clarity. And speaking of clarity, remember how some teachers weren't even sure who was supposed to teach which part of the syllabus?
Oh, yeah, that lack of organization.
Total recipe for disaster. Dr. Lynch's study found that clear roles and responsibilities are like non-negotiable. Everyone knows what they're doing. HPE runs smoother. Simple as that.
I bet strong leadership from the principal is key too, right? Sets
Yeah.
the tone for the whole school.
Absolutely. The principal has to make HPE a priority. Allocating resources, making sure everyone understands it's important. They're like the captain steering the ship.
Okay, so we've got the roadmap, we've got roles defined, we've got a supportive principal. What else?
Ongoing professional development for teachers. Can't forget that.
Keeping those skills sharp.
Even the most experienced teachers, they need to stay updated on the latest research, best practices in HPE.
Especially with a brand new syllabus, there's always something new to learn.
Right. Think about it. If teachers feel confident and knowledgeable about HPE, they're going to be more enthusiastic in the classroom. Students pick up on that. They get more motivated.
It's contagious.
It is. And Dr. Lynch's study also found that collaborating with families and the wider community is huge.
So HPE shouldn't be this isolated thing just happening within the school walls.
Exactly. When families are involved, supportive, and you've got partnerships with local organizations, HPE becomes much more impactful.
Kids see those healthy habits reinforced at home, in their community. Makes a big difference.
Huge. It's about creating that culture of well-being. Remember that mid-sized school, the one that had to get creative with their limited space?
Taking those HPE classes to the rugby field.
That's the one. They really show what you can do with a bit of resourcefulness. Even when resources are limited, a dedicated teacher can make it happen.
Thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
Finding those creative solutions.
Exactly. So we've got the whole school plan, clear roles, strong leadership, professional development, those community partnerships, a dash of creativity. Anything else?
Sounds pretty comprehensive.
Oh, one more thing. Can't forget student voice.
Giving the students a say in their HPE experience.
Exactly. Ask them what they enjoy, what's challenging, what they want to learn more about. When students feel heard, they're more invested.
It's about empowering them.
Right.
It's not just ticking boxes. It's about fostering that lifelong love of movement and healthy habits.
You got it. Now remember, this study focused on Catholic primary schools in Queensland. But these findings, they could apply to HBE in lots of other settings, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. The need for teacher training, resources, and a shared understanding of what HPE is all about, it's universal. Doesn't matter where you are or what kind of school you're in.
The ingredients for success, they stay pretty consistent.
It's about creating an environment where all students, regardless of background or ability, can thrive. Physically, mentally, emotionally.
Absolutely. Requires a collective effort, though, a commitment to making well-being a priority at every level. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Dr. Lynch also looked at the role of the Catholic education system itself in supporting HPE.
Because even with a great syllabus and dedicated teachers, you need that support from the higher-ups, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, schools are fighting an uphill battle.
Exactly. And what Dr. Lynch found was, well, there was a real lack of dedicated support for HPE within Brisbane Catholic education at that time. To put it in perspective, there were 13 religious education curriculum officers employed by BCE.
And none for HPE. Wow, that's a statement.
It is. Shows you how differently certain subjects are prioritized. And this lack of support, it showed up in those challenges the schools faced. Remember how some of those newer teachers hadn't received training on the new HPE syllabus?
Yeah, and the confusion about who is responsible for teaching what?
Exactly. Without dedicated HPE curriculum officers at the system level providing guidance, support, those issues just keep popping up, like trying to build a house without a blueprint or an architect.
You might have the materials, but the end result.
Might not be what you were hoping for.
So how do we push for more support and resources for HPE, not just within schools, but at that higher level?
That's the million-dollar question. It's about changing the mindset, recognizing that HPE isn't an afterthought. It's not a luxury. It's a core part of education.
An investment in future generations.
Exactly. And one of the strongest arguments for prioritizing HPE, its potential to tackle childhood obesity.
We can't ignore the statistics, can we?
Nope. Those rates have been rising for decades. All sorts of health problems down the line.
And good HPE can help turn things around. It's not just about sports. It's about building healthy habits, teaching kids about nutrition and exercise, making movement something they love.
Exactly. Giving them the tools to make healthy choices now and in the future. And Dr. Lynch found a direct link between, good implementation of that HPE syllabus and kids being more interested in physical activity.
So when HPE was done well, kids were more into it. They actually enjoyed it.
Exactly. And when kids enjoy being active, they're more likely to keep doing it, make it a part of their lives.
It's a positive cycle. Enjoyment leads to participation, better health, and well-being. It's an investment that pays off.
You said it. And that's why Dr. Lynch's study really stresses the need for more research into HPE in Catholic schools and beyond.
Because his study was just a snapshot, right?
Yeah.
3 specific schools. We need more research to really dig deeper into these themes, see how they play out on a larger scale.
For sure, every context is different. We need to know what works, what doesn't, advocate for the resources and support that teachers need. It's an ongoing process.
A collaborative effort to make sure every student has the chance to develop that lifelong love of movement and well-being. But before we finish up this part, there's one more thing I want to touch on. We've talked about this new, more inclusive HPE approach, the sociocultural one.
The one that moved away from that old school performance-based model.
Yes. But did Dr. Lynch's study find any evidence that those old attitudes about HPE were, still hanging around?
Even with this new syllabus.
It's a great question. Changing those deeply ingrained beliefs and practices, it takes time. It's not always easy.
So even with everyone trying to do the right thing, those old, potentially exclusionary attitudes might still be there, just below the surface.
You're exactly right. And that's what Dr. Lynch's research found. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. Tell me more. So we're talking about those old school HPE attitudes kind of lingering, even with a new syllabus designed to be more inclusive, like some kids feeling left out if they weren't the star athletes.
Yeah, it's a valid concern. And Dr. Lynch found that even though the new approach was all about this sociocultural thing, some teachers were still stuck on competition and athletic ability.
Instead of participation and individual progress.
Exactly.
It's like those old beliefs about what HPE should be were so ingrained.
Hard to break those habits.
Right. Like turning a giant ship around takes time and effort.
Absolutely. And it highlights something really important. We have to constantly look at how we're doing HPE and make sure, we're not leaving anyone out or discouraging kids who might not be the sportiest.
It's about making sure everyone feels valued,
That's it.
respected, empowered to succeed no matter what their skill level is.
Yeah.
How do we actually do that? Create that kind of inclusive HPE experience?
One of the biggest things is creating a learning environment that celebrates all kinds of diversity, not just different abilities, but recognizing that each student brings something unique to the table.
Their strengths, their challenges.
Yeah, and that means moving away from that one-size-fits-all approach to HPE.
Offering more variety in activities.
Right.
Because not every kid is going to love basketball or soccer.
Right. You've got dance, yoga, martial arts, outdoor adventures, so many options. The point is to, broaden what we even think of as HPE. Give students a chance to find something they genuinely enjoy and feel good at.
And when they're having fun, they're more likely to stay active.
Absolutely. It becomes part of their life, not a chore.
Dr. Lynch found that some teachers felt unprepared to, adapt their lessons for students with different needs and abilities.
Yeah, if you're used to doing things a certain way, it can be a challenge to switch gears. But with the right training, support.
It's doable.
Definitely. But it takes a shift. Moving away from that traditional teacher-centered way of teaching to something that's more student-centered, more adaptable.
So it's not just what we're teaching, it's how we're teaching it. The messages we're sending. We have to be careful not to, accidentally reinforce stereotypes or discourage kids.
Yeah, moving away from only praising the most athletic students or just focusing on winning.
Shifting the focus to individual progress, personal growth, not just who's the best.
Exactly. Building that culture of encouragement where everyone feels valued for who they are.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive. We've gone from implementing a new syllabus to the power of inclusivity and the importance of support. It's a lot to think about.
HPE, it's an important topic, often gets overlooked, but it's crucial for student well-being.
So as we wrap up here, what are some takeaways for our listeners? How can they apply this to their own lives, their work?
Maybe this has sparked some memories for you, your own HPE experiences. Think about how those experiences shaped, your relationship with physical activity today.
And if you work with kids, if you're a parent, a teacher, anyone, think about how you can advocate for quality HPE. It really does take a village, right, to create that culture of well-being.
Have those conversations, ask those questions, and challenge those outdated ideas about what HPE can be.
Because every student deserves to experience the joy of movement, the confidence that comes with, physical literacy, and the feeling of belonging in a truly inclusive environment.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, that's all for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.